AP will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you our official Week 2 GE Top 25 poll, our official set of rankings that we will bring you every single week right here on the channel instead of the AP poll and instead of later on the college football playoff poll. And after a fantastic Week 1 filled with some great matchups and some stunning upsets, we have a lot of shakeups in our rankings. A lot of differences from our first ranking we put out a few weeks ago and now this ranking heading into Week 2. And we're here to break down every single team, our reasoning for every single ranking as we head into maybe one of the biggest weekends of college football coming up here in just a few days. So before we jump into these rankings though, as always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Our Week 2 expert picks will be coming out on Wednesday, coming out tomorrow. A few picks already up on the website, so do not miss out on that. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Of course, send us some gear to be represented in our background. We'd love to get some more top 25 teams in our background. Got a few: USC, LSU, Arkansas, Tulane. Can't see them. They're kind of blocking them. But we've got some great gear from us. Send it to that mailing address, though, down in the description below so we can represent your team in every single video. So let's dive into these rankings. Our official rankings has nothing to do with the AP poll whatsoever. We're not really a big fan of what they do there. Up here in the top, though, starting in our top 10, the top two teams for us have not changed. Georgia and Michigan, number 1 and number 2. And I feel like that will be kind of, for me, undisputed until they give us a reason to not rank them where they are. Georgia taking care of UT Martin 48-7. Michigan taking care of ECU 30-3 without Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines. These are the top two teams in the country, in my opinion, again, until one of them loses or until one of them gives us a clear-cut reason to not rank them as such. So Georgia and Michigan unchanged. Number 3, though, we do have a change. Florida State, for us, rising 3 spots from 6th to 3rd after their dominating victory over number 5 LSU, 45-24 Sunday night in Orlando. An unbelievable performance from Mike Norvell and this Florida State team, trailing at halftime and then scoring 31 unanswered points to completely pull away from a Tigers team that many had pegged to make the college football playoff. So Florida State for us does jump the likes of Alabama and Ohio State. Alabama, yes, took down Middle Tennessee, looked great. Jalen Milroe looking like a star. Ohio State didn't look as good with their new quarterback in Kyle McCord, but still managed to beat Indiana 23-3. But Florida State, without a doubt, a much more impressive performance and a much more quality victory than what Alabama and Ohio State did on Saturday. So Seminoles coming in at number 3, Alabama and Ohio State coming in at 4 and 5 respectively. Penn State coming in at number 6 after beating West Virginia 38-15, rising 1 spot in our official rankings, getting that late touchdown to pull out the cover, that late touchdown to make the score look a little bit better than it really was, but still, regardless, would have been a 2-possession victory, a 31-15 victory, had they not scored that late touchdown. But Penn State's defense looking phenomenal. Drew Aller, an unbelievable debut with the Nittany Lions. This is a team that very well could be a college football playoff team. How they fare against Michigan and Ohio State, hard to believe that we've got three Big Ten East teams in our top 6. Half of our top 6 filled up with Big Ten East teams. Shows you just how good that division will be and just how important those games will be later on in the year. At number 7, Washington rising 2 spots. Actually, for us, jumping USC in our official rankings. I know they only beat Boise State, but Boise State, for us, was the top group of 5 team heading into the 2023 season. At least we had them pegged as such by season's end. I know Tulane right now is in the rankings for us and was in the AP poll as well. We believe Boise State had that talent, and Washington decimated them, destroyed them 56-19. Also covering in that game, the Huskies, guys, might have one of the best offenses in the country. That's not a big surprise when they have Michael Penix as their quarterback. But their performance against a solid Boise State team who very well could go on to win the Mountain West and still could find themselves in the hunt for a New Year's Six bowl game propels them to number 7 over USC, who has only beaten San Jose State and Nevada, who they just beat 66-14. You can interchange the two at 7 and 8, like Washington is a little bit better right now. Huskies get the edge at number 7, USC at number 8. Another Pac-12 team in Oregon coming in at number 9, rising 2 spots because of who lost ahead of them, beating Portland State 81-7. That offense dropping 81 points on Portland State. The Ducks have a huge matchup coming up in Week 2 on the road at Texas Tech. The Red Raiders dropping out of our top 25 after losing to Wyoming in Week 1. So that game losing a little bit of its luster, but still a game that Oregon cannot afford to overlook. But regardless, the Ducks in at number 9 and Notre Dame rounding out our top 10. They deserve to. dominating performances against Navy in week 0 and Tennessee State in week 1. Yes, we know not the biggest and best opponents in the world. We understand that. But Notre Dame has looked flawless in both those games, allowing just 3 points in each. Sam Hartman has been dang near flawless, completing over 80% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, balanced. Passing offense has been phenomenal, over 200 rushing yards per game in each of the 2. This is a Notre Dame team that is a college football playoff contender, but will now face their first true test coming up in week 2 when they go on the road to take on NC State. But Notre Dame, for us, does deserve that top 10 spot, and they round out the top 10 in our official rankings. Over here in the second column, we've got Utah rising 4 spots, one of our biggest risers in the rankings this week. The Utes, to me, deserve that after decimating Florida on Thursday night, 24-11 in Salt Lake City. And they did so without Cam Rising. That's what's more impressive to me. Shows you just how strong this Utah defense is, how Florida does 13 rushing yards on the day, and were able to win the game by double digits with a backup quarterback and actually working with 2 quarterbacks at times when they played the Gators. So this is a Utah team that once they get Cam Rising back, it's going to be even better than what we saw against Florida. Could have Cam Rising back as early as this Saturday against Baylor, a Baylor team that just got destroyed by Texas State and will be without their quarterback in Blake Shapen. It's one of those more intriguing week 2 games coming up here on Saturday, but one that we picked Utah to win a few months ago. We're going to stick with picking Utah again now. The Utes could get 2 quality victories over Power 5 opponents before they head into Pac-12 conference play. A Pac-12 conference is looking to win for a 3rd straight year. So Utah in at number 11, Tennessee up to number 12 after destroying Virginia 49-13. Joe Milton looking phenomenal. The offense really skipping a beat despite the loss of some key wide receivers and Hendon Hooker. Tennessee looking great. Got a couple of cupcake games coming up before they head into conference play. I believe they open that up against Florida. Texas rising up to 13 after beating Rice 37-10. Didn't really look all that great against the Owls. Had a couple of red zone mistakes, a lot of penalties. Didn't look great. They're going to have to really shore up some of those mistakes, shore up some of those issues as they head into Tuscaloosa this Saturday. But regardless, still a 27-point victory for the Longhorns. Still worked out any issues they had. Quinn Ewers, slow first half, really stepped it up later on in the game. Going to have his A game on, though, if Texas wants to take down Alabama at night at Bryant-Denny Stadium. One of, if not the game of the week heading into week 2. Coming in at number 14, we have LSU, one of the biggest fallers in our rankings. The Tigers dropped 9 spots after losing by 21 points to Florida State. It's crazy to look at, guys. LSU missed a lot of opportunities in this game. Opening drive, had the ball on the 1-yard line, didn't get any points out of it. Later on, found themselves deep in the red zone, no points out of it again. LSU had opportunities to win this game, or at least make it a lot closer than the score shows, but they failed to do so. Florida State's defense stepped up, shut them down. LSU made too many crucial mistakes, couldn't convert when they needed to. And it's an LSU team that gained a lot of hype, but clearly, as Brian Kelly even said, was not necessarily the team we thought they were. LSU still an elite contender. I have no doubt about that. It's going to be a great team that still could make the college football playoffs, but they're practically going to have to run the table. It's going to be very difficult to do with still a road game at Alabama later in the year and a possible SEC championship against Georgia. This is going to be a tough slate for LSU. Could have possibly ended their season in terms of playoff hopes, but the Tigers dropping 9 spots to 14, but should find themselves back in the top 10 relatively soon. 15, Oregon State taking down San Jose State 42-17, rising 1 spot from last week. Kansas State also rising a spot from last week after shutting out Southeast Missouri. Anytime, I don't care who you're playing, pitching a shutout, it's a very difficult thing to do, so credit to their defense in that game. Kansas State has an intriguing matchup this Saturday against Troy, one of the better teams in the Sun Belt. Cannot afford to overlook them. But Kansas State coming in at 16, Wisconsin coming in at 17 after winning their first game under Luke Fickell, at least officially. I know he did coach the bowl game last year. Beat Buffalo 38-17, rising 2 spots in the ranking, barely getting a spot over UNC. We nearly put North Carolina above Wisconsin, decided against it. North Carolina, though, very impressive victory, taking down South Carolina 31-17. Drake May looked phenomenal, but more impressively was the defense. 9 sacks by that North Carolina defense. It was one of the worst in the country last year. Looked like one of the best in the country Saturday night in Charlotte, shutting down Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina offense, creating pressure, and kind of similar to LSU, South Carolina being unable to score in the red zone, unable to score when they needed to the most, unable to convert. Credit to North Carolina's defense for doing that. This is a UNC team, guys, that after the loss of Clemson to Duke, who we'll get to in a second, could maybe be the second best team in the ACC, at least as of right now. Florida State undisputed number 1. North Carolina, no divisions in the ACC, Could we possibly see a Florida State, North Carolina ACC championship game? Something to monitor here, but North Carolina looked very, very good in week 1, maybe better than some expected. But arguably the biggest winner of week 1 was Duke, who comes from unranked to number 19 in our Gridiron Expert Top 25. Duke was absolutely phenomenal against Clemson. The number 9 team in the country, Duke beat them 28-7. And really, you could argue Clemson shouldn't have even been on the board. Had Jalen Calhoun not mishandled a punt that he probably shouldn't have even fielded, Clemson probably doesn't even get on the scoreboard. So Duke, a 21-point victory over a top 10 opponent. Riley Leonard was phenomenal. The defense was phenomenal. Yes, we know Clemson made a lot of mistakes, found themselves deep in the red zone multiple times, fumbled the ball away, literally, missed a couple of field goals in there as well. The score probably should have been closer than a 21-point deficit. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, Duke, regardless, was by and large the better team on Monday night, and they are a legitimate threat in the ACC now. Very favorable schedule coming up. They get to host Notre Dame here in a few weeks. Do not sleep on the Blue Devils, guys. Won 9 games last year, already exceeding expectations this year by upsetting Clemson, and they jumped from unranked again to number 19. Blue Devils are legit. And credit to Mike Elko for what he is doing in Durham. Again, probably the biggest winner for me in week 1 was Duke, no doubt about it. Coming in at number 20 was Ole Miss, rising 2 spots after the win against Mercer. Again, just rising 2 because of who lost ahead of them. Tulane also rising 2 spots after beating South Alabama 37-17. A very impressive victory. South Alabama, one of the better teams in the Sun Belt, and Tulane handled them with ease. Ole Miss and Tulane facing off in New Orleans this Saturday. We will have that as one of our games of the week. A full prediction video on that game coming out here in just a few days. Do not miss out on that. Iowa coming in at 22, rising 2 spots after beating Utah State 24-14. The offense looking a little bit better for the Hawkeyes under Cade McNamara. Coming in at number 23 is Oklahoma, going from unranked to 23rd. They're right on the outside of our top 25. This isn't a huge shot, beating Arkansas State 73-0. So much so, they made Butch Jones cry on the sidelines. How about that? Never seen that before. But Oklahoma rising in there after a very impressive offensive performance. This is a team that, again, was much better than their 6-7 record indicated in 2022, and they're hoping to show that as the year goes on. But they crack our top 25 heading into week 2. Clemson coming in at 24, dropping 14 spots in our Gridiron Expert Top 25. Now, some should say they should drop completely out. I won't go that far. Clemson, again, we mentioned, made a lot of mistakes that I don't bank on them making over and over and over again. Fumbling multiple times, twice inside the 10-yard line. Don't expect that to happen. Don't expect it to happen that consistently. Clemson, to me, is still an elite team, still has a lot of talent, still has tons of defensive talent, and in theory, the offense should get better as they go on. Cade Klubnik did not look great, didn't really gel well with the Garrett Riley offense in week 1. Hopefully that gets better as the year goes on. But Clemson, to me, is still a top 25 team, but they are definitely a low-end top 25 team until they can prove to us that they are the team we thought they would be prior to week 1. So Clemson coming in at 24, don't deserve to fall completely out, but definitely very much so on the low end. And rounding out our top 25, we have Arkansas. They are right on the outside of our top 25 looking in last week, have them cracking it now because of the teams that lost ahead of them. Keep in mind, TCU, Texas Tech, and South Carolina were all ranked in our week 1 top 25 poll, but have now all fallen out after TCU fell to Colorado, Texas Tech fell to Wyoming, and South Carolina, who was 25th, fell to North Carolina. So Arkansas benefiting from some of those losses, sliding into 25 ahead of the likes of Texas A&M, who is right on the outside looking in. They're ranked 26 in our poll. Arkansas getting the nod right now, and very well could see themselves rise up the ranks with a favorable schedule before they enter SEC play. So there you have it, guys. There is our Gridiron Expert Week 2 Top 25. Week 2 will be one of the better weekends of college football we have this season. Some major marquee matchups that will drastically not just shake up these rankings, but shake up the landscape of college football, kind of laying the foundation as we head into the bulk of this season. This is a week that you do not want to miss. You don't want to miss it in front of your TV, and you don't want to miss it right here on our channel. Tomorrow, we have our Week 2 predictions. We've got our Game of the Week prediction videos coming out on Thursday and Friday. Expert picks coming out on Wednesday. A live stream later on tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. Don't want to miss that. Loads of content coming your way, straight from you, all from you, right here at the Gridiron Expert, and you do not want to miss out on it. College football, guys, is in full force, and we'll have you covered every step of the way. So So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account, and our mailing address to send us some of your team's gear to be represented in every single Gridiron Expert video. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.